Alrighty. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the CRC zero textbook costs templates that we have now available in Commons as part of the OER Award program. And for those of you that just arrived, I'm sharing a Google Doc in the chat that has all the instructions for how to do this. If at any point during the presentation or during the demo you have questions, please feel free to use the raise hand feature or just interrupt me, and I can address your questions immediately. All right, so the CRC zero textbook cost Canvas templates are based off of the OpenStax textbooks, but rather than using the OpenStax textbooks LTI, we're using the LibreText one because LibreText has a lot more accessibility features that make the materials easier to navigate. They also have a wonderful commitment to accessibility, and they're easy to update and adopt if you decide that you want to remix or adapt any of the content that's in there. So how do we find those? Well, we find them on Commons. But before we go on to Commons, I want to talk about how we're going to actually use the template. In my experience of using templates, the first thing that you want to do is request a development shell. A development shell is like a sandbox course where you can play around with content and edit it and get it just the way you like it before you actually put it into a place where students can see it. This prevents us from publishing something that we're not ready for students to see, or having the opposite in that we think something is published and it's actually not and students are looking around for it. So I really like to suggest using a development shell. To find a development shell or request a development shell, you're going to go into Canvas, so log into Canvas, and then select the help menu. And in the help menu, if you're like me, you have a lot of stuff in there. So you may need to scroll down depending on how much of the help menu is visible. And then you're going to select the request a development course option. Okay, this is going to open a new tab or a new window for the Los Rios development course request form. You'll enter your WID, the college you are affiliated with, or that you want to use this course for if you're at multiple colleges, and then you're going to put in a name for your development course. Now, I've already requested a development shell for our demo today, so I'm not going to complete this form. But if you'd like to go and get that started right now, I'm going to place the link for how to request it for the development shell request in the chat. But you can always find it in the help menu. So let's go back to the dashboard. Okay, so now that we have a development shell, we've requested it, we waited 2 to 24 hours to have the invitation appear in our inbox and accept the invitation in Canvas. Now we are ready to locate the Canvas resources for the ZTC template. So we're gonna go to Canvas Commons, and there are a couple of ways that you can do this. I'll actually, you know what, I'm gonna demonstrate the way to do it from within your development shell. So here's my OER shell that I've already worked on. And when you request a development shell, what you're going to see here is a homepage that comes along with every single CRC course that's been created. We actually have a separate homepage that we encourage you to use that has a little bit more information on it for students, and I'll show you that later. Now, to import something from Commons into our development shell, I'm going to go up to this Import from Commons button that's in the upper right-hand corner and select that. That is going to take us to a place called Canvas Commons. Canvas Commons is a wonderful place. It has loads and loads of resources that have been placed in the Commons for faculty to use. And so these are adoptable, editable, open resources. There may be some attribution requirements for the resources that you find here, and you'll find that information in the details for the item. So let's do a search for CRC ZTC. All right, that's going to open up all of the wonderful shells that Andy and her team have created And let's locate one that we want to use. So we'll just go for this first one here. Okay, so I'm going to select that resource. And what we're going to find here is that it gives us the Creative Commons license here, which is attribution. And so if you end up using this, you want to make sure that you keep that that license there, because it's a relic, I believe, Andy, from using the OpenStax and LibreText content.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What we see here in the template, this is a preview. This isn't the actual template. In order to get it into our course, we actually want to import it into the development shell. So over here on the right, below the image thumbnail for the ZTC template, you see the import download button. We'll select that, and then a huge list of classes will come up. Now, your list may not necessarily be as long as mine, but the easy way to find it is to do a search. So I'm going to do a search for the demo that I want to. I'm going to select that development shell, and then I'm going to push the import to course button, select that button. I'm not actually going to do that though, because I already imported it, and the import can take a few minutes, and I didn't want you to have to sit around and wait for that to happen. But for you guys, select that after you've located your development shell, and you'll be good to go. Now we're going to go to the development shell. And while I'm pulling this up, are there any questions so far? I don't see anything in the chat and no hand raised. So we good? Yes, Priscilla.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I was wondering if there are any differences between what we're doing today in this shell versus the CRC template from the CVC rubric.
Excellent. I'm glad that you asked that question. So let's go into the modules area for the OER shell. And what you'll find is in this module, in this area, we have a couple of things that might be familiar to you if you've already used the CRC course design, the CRC template. So the CRC online course template is something that's been available for years on Commons, and it's basically a template shell that includes an instructor resources module and a course orientation module. It's primarily intended for online courses. However, there's a lot of content that you can use in your in-person or hybrid courses as well. So we've included that in the ZTC shells on Commons so that you don't have to do two imports. You have access to both at once. Now, if you've already started using the CRC online course template, and you still want to use the course, the ZTC template as well, what will happen, I would suggest starting over with a new development shell and then just deleting the orientation and instructor resources module once you've imported that into your shell, and then you can copy your existing orientation module in there if you want to. But the nice part about Canvas is that, as we'll learn a little bit later, all of this stuff is modular, so you don't have to do an entire course import when you want to move this ZTC stuff into your actual course. You can just import it module by module if that's the way you'd like to do it. So does that answer your question, Priscilla?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, cool. So as I mentioned, in the ZTC shell, we have instructor resources. This is about the template. And then we also have a course orientation module. And if you've seen these before, the course orientation module has basically, it's a syllabus. It's a syllabus and an orientation module combined. It has CRC specific resources in it, and it has a lot of prompts and guides to ensure that you fill out all the relevant information for your course. And of course, you can change the language anywhere. You don't have to use this. This is totally open. Okay. Anytime you see purple text, that's a prompt to you, and then you're going to want to read that, make the corresponding updates, and then delete the purple text from the page so that the students don't see that when you eventually put it in your live course. Okay, I'm just gonna take a look at my notes, make sure that I haven't skipped anything. All right, so in addition to the instructor resources module, the course orientation, module and the lab waiver module that comes with your shell. We also have a sample module in here, and this is again from the template. And basically, the sample module is something that you can tailor to suit your needs and your teaching style, and then duplicate over and over again, so that your entire course has a very consistent structure, which really helps with cognitive load and navigation for students, because they'll know exactly what to expect from each week. It's the same routine. And even if you're doing a face-to-face course, an on-campus course, having a consistent module in Canvas is great, because again, it helps direct the students when they're not with you in class. So what we will talk about is how to edit this stuff and then move it around, but we'll get to that in a minute. Another feature of the template is a set of surveys. These course feedback surveys are essentially students giving you anonymous feedback about your course and telling you what's working for them and what's not, in the hopes that you can apply that feedback either during the semester or in the next semester. And then there is a set of reflection surveys, and these are like metacognitive reflections for students to kind of think about and digest how they're doing in the class, and then express any needs to you so that you can respond to them individually. All right, and then after that, we have all of the LibreText/OpenStax content. And what essentially this is these are links to the LibreText web page, except for it's embedded within Canvas, so the students never leave Canvas in order to access the content. And they can navigate through Canvas and through the modules using the Canvas Next button. Or if they want to access the features, accessibility features, they can open the LibreText in a new page. And when they do that, they're going to have access to the readability features. And these would be the Beeline reader, which is a really great technique for helping keep attention on the page. They can adjust the text size. They can turn it into dark mode. These are some features that are not really available within the Canvas, but as soon as they open in a new tab, they'll be able to access those readability features. Okay. A few other things that are located in the template that I wanted to point out before we talk about how to kind of turn this shell into a course. The template comes with a course syllabus page, and you'll notice that the formatting is a little bit different than the formatting of the syllabus page that just comes with a raw Canvas shell, and this can easily be edited. Anywhere in the course where you see these blue headings, it's just regular text with a blue background, and you can edit it very simply. So this could be Biology 309 syllabus, okay? And then it will change the name there and look really polished and professional. We have, in this particular template, we have disabled the course summary. And the reason for that is because students can sometimes use the course summary to bypass module requirements and access the assessments before they've actually reviewed the content. And so by disabling the course summary, we keep them from skipping ahead. Okay. All right, I see Andy is answering some questions in the chat. Is there anything you'd like me to address verbally?
I just wanted to also mention in the introductory module, there is a page in there that talks about required course material. And so for these templates, we included the textbook that was brought in. But if there are any other materials, required materials, you would want to also list them on this page. But it's mentioned in there. That's part of the purple text. I just want to alert folks that that there is a page that talks about required textbook material, so that if there are additions, you would want to add them to this page as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now let's talk about how to turn what you've imported into your development shell into an actual course. The first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to reset the homepage. The homepage as it is right now doesn't have guide for how to start the class. And it's a really good idea, especially during the first week, to have a homepage that makes it really clear for how students should start the course. So we'll select View All Pages, and then we'll locate the page CRC homepage template. We'll go to the More Options menu and select Use as Front Page. So now you'll see this little gray box that says Front Page, and we'll go back to the home. And now we have a new home page. We still have the same welcome banner for CRC, but we've added an option here for you to include your image, your contact information, a button to start the course orientation that gets the student started, plus a table for the modules or chapters. And this is wonderful if your modules tend to be really long. You can create a table like this on the homepage, and that way students can skip straight to the module that they're covering that week, rather than having to scroll through the modules on the module page or remember to collapse them when they're done. So this just helps with a little bit of navigation. Okay, so now that we've reset that, I'm not going to actually edit this page or anything. I just want to talk about how we're going to use these modules that come in the shell. So there's a couple of options let me just shrink these for a moment because we don't need to see those. Okay, so there's a couple of options for how to go about using the content that's in here. One thing that I will start off with is that I don't advise just using these chapters, modules alone the way they are. And the reason for that is that when students get online, they don't have you there to tell them what to read and what to do while they're reading. The instructions are an important component of knowing, what the learning process should look like. And so I really encourage you to add some context to these modules. There are a couple of ways to do it. Probably the most straightforward way to do it is to create to modify this template module into something that you can then duplicate over and over again, and then add the chapter materials that you plan to use into those pages. Now, the nice part or into those modules, the nice part about using the LibreText or any of these DTT shells is that you don't have to have the students read in the order of pages that there is in the textbook, right? So you can actually plug in pages from multiple chapters into one module if you want to, and create your own order for learning, if that's the way you want to do it. You can also eliminate pages if you don't want to use those pages. So this module overview here, or this module structure, is based on online course design best practices in terms of it provides a consistent structure. There is a module overview page that includes objectives and a to-do list, like what are you going to be able to demonstrate, what skills will you develop in the course of this module, and how are you going to be assessed, right? The to-do list. It includes knowledge building or learning pages, and that could be your chapter reading, your LibreText pages, and assessments, and then also a wrap-up page. And again, the wrap-up page just basically is a signal to the students, hooray, you're done, you finished the module, nice work, here's what you learned, and here's what you did. This is what's next. And bookending your modules like that creates a consistent structure that students will recognize, because if they've ever accessed a textbook before, the textbook usually has an overview with objectives and an ending with a summary. The LibreText textbooks that are imported in here don't actually have that. And so we need to add that structure in to the page. So like the orientation module, these module pages can be easily edited. So you just edit the text here to whatever chapter you're talking about, or whatever module or week, however you want to call it, you give it a title. You add in your learning objectives and your tasks. And we've got a sample overview page here in case you wanted to see what one would look like. You can put an image in there if you want to. Just make sure that you add alt text to the image so users with a screen reader can access it. Okay. And as we're looking at this module, oops, it popped open again. Sure, there we go. So each of these pages is kind of a generic structure. So what I would suggest is editing these pages to suit your needs, and then you're going to copy them multiple times. So in the notes page that I shared, and I'll share this again in case any of you late arrivals haven't had access to it yet. Okay, so this page, this Google document, again, just goes through everything step by step that I'm going to be talking about. All right, so let's say that you've edited this so that it reflects your teaching style and it reflects the structure that you're planning on doing. Like maybe you want to add a welcome video to each module overview page. You can put a place for that with a little reminder to yourself, make sure I add that. Then we're going to duplicate this module. Now, something that I've already done in here, and I forgot to do this, let me go back and I'll make sure that I have everything the way it is for you guys when you import it, is I removed this quiz earlier when I was fiddling around, but this quiz typically comes in this module. When we have a quiz in a module, Canvas won't let us duplicate modules, which I find to be a very silly thing, but hey, that's the way it is. So if you decide that you want to go about the route of customizing a module and then duplicating it, then you're going to want to remove the quiz. It doesn't delete it, it just takes it out of the module. And then you can duplicate the module. It's going to create a copy of the entire module. Okay. And then we can rename it. So this is going to be module 2, chapter 4, let's say. Okay. And then you can go through and you can edit all of these pages, give them new titles, edit the content. And next, we can import or move our chapter materials. So if I want to do chapter 4, okay, we've got these things here. So here's a really cool feature about Canvas. I am going to go to move contents, and I'm going to move all of these pages into the new module that I just created. And I'm going to place it after my overview, overview page, which I haven't renamed yet. And I'm going to move that stuff. And so now what that's done is we've got an empty module here. I can just delete that because I don't need it anymore. And then we can go up to the module that I just created, and we've got all of the reading pages right here after our overview. So if you think about how you want to design your course, you may find that you want students to read a couple of pages, and then you want them to complete a little assignment, and then read a few more pages, and then maybe have a discussion. And then they could have a final, assessment at the end. Their summative assessment for the module could be, a quiz or another assignment, what have you. And so you can move things around in here so that you have the structure exactly the way you want it, where you determine essentially the flow of the content in here. Introduction, read, do a little practice something, read some more, do another little practice something, discuss, final assessment, and then a summary page. It's really up to you. Again, this sort of layout works just as well for an on-campus course as it does for an online course. It's just like structuring your lecture. Same basic principle. So are there any questions about how to duplicate a module or edit a page in that duplicated module or move contents from one module to another? Okay, so I don't see any hands raised and nobody's saying anything in the chat. So I think we're good. Now, one thing that I did when I duplicated my sample module structure is I removed the quiz. If you do want to use a quiz, you can always add it back in using the plus feature and then go find your quiz. Okay, that's easy enough to do. I do, while I'm here, want to point out some of the features of these other pages that I haven't shown you yet. One of the advantages of using the template is that you get you get a lot of consistency in the design of the Canvas pages and of the assessments. So this is a sample discussion. And again, there's purple text, you can ignore that for now. But what you'll notice is that this particular thing, particular element, and this set of instructions could apply to any form of assignment. It doesn't necessarily have to be a discussion, but there's a like background information hook, right? You're trying to draw the students in and explain to them why they should care about this particular activity. And then there are instructions for what to do that are very clear and explicit and linear, if that's the way you think. That's the way I think, but not everybody thinks that way. And then an expectation of how to submit or what to submit. If it's an assignment, this would be different. Here, it's just instructions about when to post and how many posts to do. And then a help section. And all of the different assignment types that come with the template quiz, the template assignment, the template discussion, they all have a sample help section. And I would suggest leaving this as is, unless you want to add additional help items or replace help items. And the reason for that is that if a student has a question about how to put a YouTube video or an image or something in their discussion post that you're asking them to do, they can go to the help section and get that assistance rather than emailing you and potentially having to wait a day before they can actually post once they've gotten their answer. So these help sections really help with your workflow because it streamlines the student work, and they're less likely to ask you for the how do I blank questions, and more likely to contact you about stuff that's more related to the content and the learning objectives. So I really encourage you to use these templates when you're constructing your assignments, because it really helps students know kind of how to do the work and what is expected of them. Okay. Now, let's say that we're done. We have gone through and we've created the modules with our overview and our summary page and our textbook chapter pages and any assignments, and it's all built. It's just the way we want it. Now it's time to put that into your live course, right? Once you've built it, it's time to put it into your live course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, it doesn't really matter what course I do this in. I'm going to go to a demo shell and I'm going to go to import existing content. And I am going to select copy a Canvas course. And then I'm going to search for my course using the name that I know I'll be able to find. And then I'm going to choose select specific content, not copy all content. And the reason for that is when we do the all content, we get redundancies here in the course navigation menu. And I don't know if that's ever happened to you where you have like 2 library links, 2 student services links, 2 name coach links. It can get a little bit tedious to fix that. So we can plan for that in advance by selecting the specific content that we want to import. If you already set your due dates for for the semester, but you want to use the exact same shell again in next spring, then you can adjust the events and due dates to correspond to the start and end date of the current term, and it will automatically adjust all of those deadlines for you, which is really a wonderful thing. Okay, so I select import, and now it hasn't actually imported yet because it's waiting for me to select my content. So I will select content. I'm going to import the syllabus body because it has that nice formatting on it. I am going to select the modules that I want, the course orientation module and my chapter 4 module that I finished. I'm not going to select this other stuff because I'm not done with it yet. I'm still working on that stuff, so I don't want to import it. You don't need to select assignments or quizzes or discussions because when you do a module import, it automatically copies all of the content in those modules, the files that are linked, the images that are linked, the assignments that are in there, any kind of release conditions or requirements, prerequisites, all that stuff automatically gets imported. It's brilliant. We do want to make sure that we do bring across one page though, that's not in a module, and that's not that one, the CRC homepage template. We want to make sure that we import that as well. Okay, so if I were actually doing this process, I would do select content. It would take a little bit, and then the changes would be reflected in the course. So we'd see the new modules plus the new homepage. The new homepage, however, may not automatically default as the front page, so you may have to go in and reset that as the homepage, as I demonstrated earlier in this workshop. Okay, that's one option for how to import content. The other option is to copy stuff. And this is such an awesome feature of Canvas. I love this stuff. And you can do this either within a course or from one course to another. So let's go to this module that I just made. And let's say I want to take just this module into the course that I am offering this semester that's already going. Okay, I am going to go to the three little dots, the more options menu, and I'm going to select the copy to feature, copy to. Then I'm going to select my course. Okay, we'll find a course eventually. There we go. Okay, and then I will select copy. That will create this module with all of the stuff associated with the module, including the assignments and the files and the images and the videos and all that stuff. It will create a copy of that module intact in this new course. And all I have to do is go locate it and move it to where I want it to be. I think it usually shows up at the bottom of the modules area when you do a copy like that. So that copy feature is really cool. And it doesn't, it is not limited to just copying modules. You can copy pages, copy to. And you can even copy a page to somewhere else in the course. There's a little workaround for that, but anyway, it works. If you don't want to duplicate it, use the duplicate feature and drag, you can do copy to and move it to another module. So I love that feature. It's very, very cool. As long as you're an instructor in the course, you can copy to another course. So that's very nice. Okay, I think I have reached the end of my demonstration. So I'm gonna stop the recording, I think. Thank you all for coming. And I'm gonna answer questions once we're done with the recording.